filhos sucedem os pais. Experiência dá lugar à energia. E o ciclo se repete. Geração após geração, o mundo se renova. Mas será que na sociedade da informação, da internet, essa roda gira da mesma forma que sempre girou? Hoje o Espaço Aberto Ciência e Tecnologia fala com exclusividade com o analista de inovação e tecnologia, Don Tapscott. Ele dedicou uma década ao estudo da geração internet e descobriu que esses jovens são diferentes de seus pais. Eles convivem de forma natural com a tecnologia, mas sofrem mais com os efeitos dela. Tapscott descobriu que o uso constante de instrumentos eletrônicos altera algumas funções cerebrais de jovens e crianças. Uma alteração que pode surpreender. Será que a geração NET será mais capaz e responsável por uma revolução na economia e no comportamento global?
What's next? Well, one of the things that's next.
Ele é empresário, escritor e consultor especializado em estratégias de negócios, mas hoje se orgulha de ter seu nome cada vez mais associado à tecnologia. O canadense Don Tapscott já escreveu 13 livros, entre eles o best-seller A Hora e a Vez da Geração Digital. O livro é fruto de um estudo realizado com 10 mil jovens de 12 países, incluindo o Brasil. Analisa a fundo a geração Y, ou geração internet, aquela dos jovens nascidos depois dos anos 80 e que são considerados os verdadeiros nativos digitais.
Well, this is the first generation to come of age in the digital age. The internet, computers, digital technologies, video games are part of the experience of youth. And what we found out is that time online is not taken away from hanging out with your friends or learning the piano or talking to your parents or doing your homework. It's taken away from television. They come home, they turn on their computers, and they're in 3 different windows, and they're talking on their phone and texting, and they got 3 magazines open and a video game going, and they may be doing their homework at the same time. Now, of course, some people, young people, especially in emerging economies, don't have access to this technology, and there is a digital divide. And there's nothing more important in an emerging economy than to make sure that every child has their birthright, access to the communications revolution of their time.
Como é a vida nessa empresa que bota no ar uma rede social na internet com 500 milhões de usuários no mundo? Um lugar em que aos 20 e poucos anos você pode ser diretor e ter a impressão de que tá velho demais. Numa empresa onde se é estimulado a ser criativo o tempo todo, ninguém bate ponto. Eles querem trabalhar com prazer a qualquer hora do dia ou da noite, pensando sempre em resultados.
Você adquire uma responsabilidade maior e você se sente... você tem mais autonomia.
Para uma geração acostumada com coisas multitarefa, tipo falar no celular e trabalhar e andar na rua ao mesmo tempo, isso aqui é uma coisa normal. Dentro da empresa eles acreditam que jogar é uma coisa que se faz ao mesmo tempo que se trabalha.
Where did you get the inspiration to study this topic? Was it by watching your own kids?
Well, it was. I mean, I noticed how my own children were effortlessly able to use all this sophisticated technology. And at first I thought my children are geniuses. They're prodigies. But then I noticed that all their friends were like them, and so that was a bad theory. So I started working with 300 kids back in the mid-1990s, and I came to the conclusion that this generation is different. They're the first to be sort of bathed in bits, and that they have no fear of technology because it's not there. It's sort of like the air. It's like I have no fear of a refrigerator. And I'm a digital immigrant, okay? I had to learn the language. These are digital natives, and they're very comfortable with the technology.
How will this generation change the dynamics of the 21st century?
Well, as they come into the workforce, the marketplace, as they become citizens and they're voting, this is a powerful force to change every institution. Example, they elected their first president of the United States, Barack Obama. Example, Tunisia. Egypt, all across the Mideast. You have a new generation of young people. It's a big generation. At their fingertips, they have this powerful tool for organizing and for finding out what's going on. They're educated, and they're bumping up against these old institutions. Things like unemployment. In Tunisia, there was 40% youth unemployment. They don't like what they see. And they want to be more than just subjects. And it turns out that because they have the social media, they can have great collective power, and they brought down governments, and they're still bringing down governments all across the Mideast. And if we don't fix many of the big problems that we have in our society, this can extend around the world.
Essa força da geração Y ficou evidente durante as últimas eleições iranianas. Neda, uma estudante de 19 anos, resolveu se unir à multidão e protestar contra a campanha do presidente Ahmadinejad. Durante a manifestação, tiros foram disparados. A imagem de Neda agonizando foi gravada por um celular e enviada ao YouTube. Em questão de horas, o vídeo atingiu milhões de pessoas. Jovens, ativistas ou não, de diversos países postaram a imagem em blogs, no Twitter e também no Facebook. Foi o início de uma ação que mostrou ao mundo o que ocorreria no Irã. Em meio a consultas com especialistas de diversas áreas, a equipe de Tapscott descobriu algo além do comportamento geracional. Os jovens de hoje não sabem só lidar mais facilmente com a tecnologia. O uso constante acaba alterando também alguns circuitos cerebrais. Mas, afinal, a internet está nos deixando mais inteligentes ou mais estúpidos?
There's a period called extended adolescence, age 8 to 18, when a third of the human brain gets built, the wiring of the brain. And after your DNA, the number one variable determining what your brain is like is how you spend your time. And if you spend 24 hours a week being the passive recipient of television, like my generation was, that gives you a certain kind of brain. If you spend an equivalent amount of time being the active handler of information, the user, the authenticator, the organizer, the scrutinizer, the rememberer, the multitasker, then this affects your brain as well. And these kids have different brains, and they're brains that I think are more appropriate for the complex information society that we're entering into.
What about the criticism that some people say that this ability to multitask may compromise their ability to focus on a single task?
Well, the research is not completely clear on this, but I think that people say that this generation, they're wired for distraction. They have the attention span of a fruit fly. You know, the digital age is dumbing out an entire generation. One book says it's called The Dumbest Generation, how the digital age stupefies young Americans. That the main problem with this negative point of view is that there's no research to support it. In fact, if you look at the performance of young people that use technology today, the United States, for example, kids are graduating from university more than ever before in terms of raw numbers and also as a proportion of the population. IQs have been going up year over year for many years. SAT and GMAT scores are at an all-time high. It's never been tougher to get into the best universities. This is not the dumbest generation, it's the smartest generation. And to graduate from a university requires focus. And I'm not convinced at all. You know, have you ever seen a kid focus on a video game for 4 hours without moving? These kids are very capable of focusing. I think that criticism is more a criticism of us, that we fail to create institutions, schools, learning environments that correspond to the way that they learn. Sure, they don't like being lectured to. I didn't mind being lectured to because I grew up being broadcast to. My parents broadcast to me. I went to church. I was broadcast to. I was broadcast to on television. I went into the workforce. I had a boss tell me what to do. But these kids have grown up interacting.
But some people would say that the same guy that spends these 4 hours in front of the video game, maybe this kid would have problems like interacting in the, quote, real world.
Right. Well, there are two problems with that argument. One is that there's no evidence that young people spend less time in face-to-face communication because time online is taken away from television watching. And the second thing is, what is the real world? I mean, as we go through life, we're constantly checking our devices and we're interacting, we're doing this stuff and we're talking to people. The days when you sit down and have completely undistracted conversations with someone for a whole day or something like that, those days are long gone. We have a much more complicated, dynamic environment. And I think these kids are actually better at managing information than their parents.
Stop playing the video game and enter the job market, they find companies that are not actually adjusted to this new reality. What happens then?
Well, that's a big problem because huge generation, they come into the workforce at their fingertips, they have better tools than exist in our most sophisticated companies. They have a great culture of innovation and collaboration and speed and of curiosity, and they bump up against Dilbert, Inc., you know. Hi, I'm your boss. A boss is someone who's an authority on everything. Well, the young people are thinking, well, just a sec, I was an authority on something really important since I was 11. You know, rather than embracing all of this, many companies fight it. We even take away their tools. Banning Facebook, for example, is a popular thing to do.
Is it bad to ban Facebook?